Hello, everyone. Welcome to All Things Indian Friendly Voices. In our series, we covered a couple of three music episodes, and two with Carnatic music, and we covered Odissi music. And as part of, along with Carnatic music, we also saw that there was, we had a parallel evolution of Mr. Ram Prasad was kind enough to show us that there was an evolution of Hindustani music. So today we are going to see how Hindustani music is. Most of us heard about it. In today's social media, whether Bhimsen Joshi, Pandit Bhimsen Joshi, or Kishori Monkar, like the Pandit Jasraj, all these we have seen videos and clips. But most of us, including me, we do not know what Hindustani music is. So to explain and also to sing with us, sing for us, we have a wonderful friend today amongst us.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. And we have great pleasure today to host Mr. Dhananjay Hegde. Dhananjay Hegde ji had his initial training from his mother, Srimati Geeta Hegde. His father, Sri G.S. Hegde, is a tabla player. And he is also the founder of music organization called Saptak. Now, Dhananjay ji had a brief training under the well-known musician Pandit Venkatesh Kumar. Later on, from around 1989, he has been doing rigorous talim under Pandit Vinayak Torvi, another stalwart. Pandit Vinayak Torvi straddles the two Gharanas of Gwalior and Kirana Gharana. Dhananjay ji has performed all over India, and he's also gone abroad, and he's won several awards. I mean, he has a lot of clips on YouTube which you can all see, and it's a great pleasure for us to host such an eminent musician in this show, and we are very thankful to Mr. Dhananjay ji for agreeing to talk with us. Uh, Thank you, and welcome to the show, Dhananjay ji.
Namaskar. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I will, as usual, let Rajmohan start the conversation. Rajmohan.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Suresh. This is a music-related episode, so I request you, Mr. Dhananjay Singh, to just start with by singing a small piece.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. I would sing a piece in Rag Alheya Bilawal, which is a morning melody. Kavana batariya yelo o mai kavana batariya gayelo mai re o bata mai re ओ बता ईता ही ईता मोरा चुरावा गयलवा ईता ही ईता मोरा चुरावा गयलवा कवन बटरिया गयलो माए कवन बटरिया गयलो ओ माए कवन बटरिया गयलो ओ
Ah, lovely, sir. That's
Thank you.
wonderful. Whose composition is this? Whose style is it?
Actually, this is a very old composition.
Oh, okay.
In Hindustani, what happens is some compositions are so old that know who are the composers.
Okay.
It has been because it is a Guru Mukhena Vidya,
Hmm.
so it has just come.
I see. Because most
through Guru to Shishya, then like.
in most scales, I think they leave the signature like Sadarang Adarang type of
Yes,
thing.
yeah. Sadarang Adarang was they were phenomenal, different level altogether because they came before these all gharanas started.
Oh, okay.
So they are, I think, 200, 300-year old. They were there. Yeah. Compositions.
Yeah. Rajman.
Yeah. So to begin with, Mr. Dhananjay, please, enlighten laypersons like me. What is unique about? India is a land of music. There are hundreds of musical traditions are there, schools are there, and what is unique about Hindustani music?
First of all, I would like to tell that whatever I am today saying is as per what I have experienced. It might differ to other people, but what I have experienced, I will be talking about those things. Unique about Hindustani music is a thing, like one of the biggest uniqueness in Hindustani music is even though you learn from a certain guru, and that guru might have 4 or 5 students, each person's singing will be different. For example, what I'm trying to tell is what raga is there, or what the bandish, or the you can say as what the composition is there, that might be same. But how that raga is developed depends on each person's imagination. So the uniqueness is, even though you have learned from a particular guru, you might imbibe all his whatever he has taught you, teachings. You might imbibe all his teachings, but you have to create your own identity, which is called as khayal. As you know, that khayal means imagination. It is the imagination of the individual. So this is one of the most striking aspect or a unique aspect of Hindustani classical music.
Okay. Now, sir, just following that up, as you said, right? In Carnatic music, generally, there are 2 parts. One, of course, the individual Manodharma part, which we call they do the Manodharma. Other is the very fixed composition. Now, the one which we always think about in Hindustani, as you said, is that it's everybody's khayal on his own, right? So khayal music. But of course, there is a composition which is more like a framework. The bandish is, as you said, there's more like a framework. The first 2 lines or 4 lines that you sang were more like a framework based on which you develop the raga. So can you give us some insight into how do gurus teach you to develop the raga, and how do you develop? Because this is something which is a tricky thing, right? It's not like playing a Beethoven composition which is well written down, right? This is something you have to understand the raga, its contours, and its restrictions, and how do you, first of all, how do they teach you, and secondly, how, as a student, how did you get your thoughts into it?
as I said, in Hindustani, I don't know whether it is good or a bad thing, but in Hindustani, there are a lot of disagreements. You can say may not be disagreements, maybe, there are
Point
many
of views.
thought processes,
Yeah,
point of
different
views.
point of views.
Yeah, different point of views or different thought processes. For example, now I can tell in Hindustani, a bandish, which is sung in a slow tempo in certain gharanas, are sung in faster tempo, the same composition
Okay.
in certain other gharanas. So this aspect is there. Now coming to your point of how you develop a rag. Now the main point what I have imbibed from my guru Pandit Vinayak Turviji, with whom still I am learning, even now also since 89, now it's almost 30, 31, 32 years now, that we have to first understand what raga says. Whether that raga is conveying something, what it is conveying, uh, whether it is a serious nature rag, whether is it a fast tempo rag, or whether it a straight rag, or whether it has any vakra
Okra,
chalan, we call it as. So these things we have to understand before we start thinking about those ragas. For example, just now what I sang, Aliya Bilawal, this has lot of feel in this rag. There is lot of the way you can convey the meaned aspect, where we stretch from one note to another note. So these aspects we have to first understand before beginning to to develop a raga. So once you understand that, then how the rag, there are certain uh, important points in every rag. You cannot leave them when you are singing a particular rag. There are certain important phrases or important notes, which we call it as vadi. Vadi is called as the important note in the rag. Samadhi is the second important note in the rag. Then there might be some vivadi notes also. So all these things have to be taken into consideration, and then a raga is developed. So as a student, when I learned from my guru, so I used to pick up what he used to sing, like where he used to give the thrust, where he used to go and stand on a note and expand it, you do a akar on that, and where are certain notes where you might just touch it, because that raga might not have, that note might have not have that much importance in that raga.
Okay.
So these things as a student I observed from my guru, and I used to discuss with him, because we are in a generation where students do ask questions. It was not a thing when my guru learnt from his guru. So nowadays I used to discuss with Guruji that how the rag unfolds. So these are the main ingredient for a good student is the observation. He should have a very good observation what guru is singing, how he is singing, what are techniques he's incorporating in his music. So these things a student has to keep it in mind.
Okay. Sir, just following up before Rajmohan asks his next question is, if you don't mind, is it possible for you to take a small rag, whichever one you want, and
Yeah.
just give a brief idea on how you are developing it, right? So that students who are listening to this may get an idea on where their thought process should go.
Sure. Now let me take a rag. It's also a thought, Bhairav.
Bhairav, okay.
As the name says, Bhairav means Shiva,
Yeah.
Lord Shiva. So, as you know, Shiva is not he's a very serious god. Yeah, he is a serious god.
Correct.
So there is a lot of, so the rag, how you can convey that seriousness in that rag, that we have to see now. See that oscillation, what I am doing in this rag. Now, this is an important aspect in Rag Bhairav. So, as a student, it is, even though it is says ga ma pa ma re, that is the notation part.
Notation, yeah.
But you have to sing the ragang. You cannot sing the rag. Rag just says ga ma re sa. But that doesn't make this rag as Bhairav. Bhairav has that special quality that where you have to, the Rishabh is oscillating.
Wow.
So as a student, I have to know that this rag has, and this rag is a serious rag. You cannot just no. See again the oscillation. Dhaivat also.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
as I said that the Bhairav is a serious rag. So, we have to sing according to the raga's nature.
The raga's nature. So, essentially, what I can paraphrase what you're saying in saying that in all ragas, you should not display your virtuality, but you should display the raga.
Obviously, because I feel that raga is the main thing. We are just showing. So we have to respect what
The raga.
raga says, and then accordingly it has to be presented.
presented.
This is what I feel. That is what I have been taught.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. Yeah,
Yeah,
Rajkumar.
wonderful. It's really wonderful. But to just follow up with what you said on Suresh question, in many musical traditions, lyrics or sahitya is very, very important and almost form the core. How important sahitya is to the Hindustani music, various traditions of Hindustani music itself?
Oh, very much. Sahitya is definitely needed because if you see in Hindustani music, like as I said now, Bhairav, as it says the name, as I said that it is a Lord Shiva's. So there are compositions which are on Shiva in the same rag. I'll just sing one line of one of the bandish so that you can make out. Jai Mahakala Jai Shiva Shambho Neelakantha Bhasma Bhukhana Jai Mahakala. So if you see, this bandish has a Shiva's reference in this bandish because it is set to Rag Bhairav. But because if you see in Hindustani, when we develop a rag, like I said, these wordings, whichever I sang now, when we do the alap, we take the help of these words. Mahakala Jai Shiva Shambho. So definitely Sahitya plays a lot of importance. Uh, uh, Obviously, it has its own importance when we develop a raga.
Right. So essentially, it provides you that also the Tala framework, right? The way the Sahitya is structured. And also, I think the Bandish itself sort of reveals some aspect of the raga right in the beginning so that people
Obviously,
know what sort of mood you are setting.
obviously. Now, if you see here only Jai Mahakala,
Correct.
Jai Mahakala. See that oscillation part I told you. So it is
Correct.
showing in the beginning only. Even
Right.
the Jai Shiva Shambho.
Yeah.
So the bandish itself, the composition itself is showing the raga.
Right. Sir, so
Obviously,
yeah, so continuing this, now when people sing Hindustani music and we listen to it, it's okay. But when we read something about it, there are a lot of terms that I keep reading. I mean, we read like Bandesh is of course a composition we know, but things like there's a Mirkan technique, Sthai Varna. They say you also use the word called Chalan. They use the word called Pakad and all of these. Can you just explain to a lay person what these sort of terms mean? What are the major terms that you use when in Hindustani music?
Merkand is a actually is a it's a technique of doing the practice. It
Oh, okay.
has, in that Merkand, what happens is we take set of notes and we try to find out how many permutations we can make in the same four notes.
Notes. Oh, okay, okay.
Like sa re ga sa re re sa ga ma ga re sa ma sa re ga. Same thing. It is
Oh,
within that how many paltas, I mean how many combinations we can
yeah.
make.
Oh, okay.
So that is a way of doing the practice actually,
Okay.
so that it improves your hold on the notes,
Correct. The
and
Swarajnana.
it Swarajnana, and it improves the speed also. When you
Okay.
require the speed, so you can do because of that technique. So you can take 3 notes, 4 notes, 5 notes, 6 notes also. 5 and 6 are very difficult, but 3 and 4 are normally it is done. So this is one of important
Techniques.
what you asked, yeah, technique. Then I mean the major portion is alap. As you know, in
Yeah.
Hindustani we do a lot of alap. Uh, Alap is where you develop the rag note by
Correct.
note or phrase by phrase, depending on the, as I said in the beginning, that depending on the bhava of the rag,
Raga. Okay.
what the rag says. Then we have tan, which which are the faster, they are in the faster speed, but the same notes what we have done in alap, the same notes are sung in the faster speed. Then obviously we have sargam, which is, as all of you know, the notation systems.
Yeah.
That also in tan also we have many variety of tans. Here you said that sthai bharna. Actually, it is bandish bharna. Actually, what I
Oh.
just showed you.
Yeah.
Jai Ma Kala. So, without singing, so akar
Okay.
singing is one part, and bandish bharna is one part where we are putting the
Okay.
bandish, as the name says,
Okay.
bandish bharna. So
Okay.
that is called uh, bandish bharna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, this mainly they talk when, especially in musicology and all, about chalans and pakkads. What do they mean?
Pakad is like the main important phrase of the raga.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
What that one pakad can show you what rag you are going to sing.
Okay. Say like, for example, if you can tell me on say Ahalya
Just now,
Bilawal.
Alia Bilawal. Yeah. If I sing this much,
Oh, okay.
people who are sitting who are little bit knowledgeable about music can tell that he is going to sing Aliya Bilawal.
Okay.
Chalan is how the rag moves.
Okay. That is, yeah, as you said,
The
it's
rag,
vakra or, yeah, straight. Yeah.
because in Hindustani there are many ragas which have the same set of notes, but because of the chalan, the rag differs.
Yeah. So can you give me example of two ragas which
Sure.
can differ by this challenge?
Sure. Now, there is a rag called Bhupali, which is
Correct.
equivalent to Mohana in Mohanam in Carnatic. So in that, sa re ga pa dha sa ra pa ga re sa. The same set of notes are there in a rag called Deskar.
Oh, Deskar. Okay.
The same set of notes. But in one's alap, it differs. Where
Okay.
This is pure Bhupali.
Okay.
If I do this one alap,
Oh,
it
okay.
goes to Deskar.
Oh,
Same thing.
Okay.
This is
I
Deskar.
see. Yeah.
So the chalan means how the rag moves. What is the rag's movement?
Okay.
So the chalan can be straight, chalan can be vakra.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, is Bibas also somewhat similar, or that's a different rag?
No. Bibas, is a completely different rag. It's a morning rag with the Rishabh is Komal.
Oh, okay. That's it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you one more follow-up question on what you said. Is that you said about alap singing. What I've observed is in some gharanas they sing an alap as an akar before they start the bandish. And in some gharanas, especially Jaipur, I've seen Mallikarjun Mansursi directly starts from the bandish, like Jan 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 Payal Baje, that is right in the beginning that Nat Bihag starts as a bandish. So what is this difference? I mean, do you first sing some alap for some time and then start the bandish, or how is it Gharana wise, or why is this difference?
Mostly every gharana follows the tradition of singing the alap first for at least 4 to 5 minutes and then taking the bandish. Mostly. Maybe Mallikarjun ji, maybe on that day he might be in a different mood, he might have, but normally even Mallikarjun ji sings the alap. But where the difference comes in gharanas is, I will just say a few words about gharanas. We have, the major gharanas like Kirana, Gwalior, Jaipur, Agra, Patiala, Rampur Sahaswan, Indore. These are all gharanas which we have. So, like, if you see what are like in Jaipur gharana, they do the alap, of the any rag in akar only.
Oh, okay.
Like Deskar was what I just sang was a very much a special rag of Mansurji. He used to sing his Deskar is like an iconic Deskar.
Oh, okay.
So they sing everything like but the same thing in Gwalior they do with the words.
I see.
So each, and in Kirana they develop the rag note by note.
Okay.
Like Agra, they have the Nom Tom Alap. If you have heard any Agra Gharana,
heard of that.
They have a Nom Tom Alap. Re da na 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 no 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 ta na 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 no ta na 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 re da na na na. So they have a different way of
Yeah.
starting the concert with a Nom Tom Alap.
Okay.
So
Let-
each gharana has its own way of interpreting the rag.
Interpreting the raga. Yeah. Raju.
Just before I ask the question, that pakad, what is a pakad? I mean,
Pakad is the important phrase of the rag. Like just now, if I sing this much, people will come to know that he is going to sing this car. The important phrase of the rag, which shows the rag's face,
Okay.
that is called as pakad.
Okay.
Yes.
so you talked about Khayal. So I mean, does it? I mean, like, of course, obviously, when you say it's imagination, is it musician dependent, or is there? I mean, does it? What are the salient features of? Are there rules for it, or can anybody can sing any as the imagination goes, or each gharana has got a specific way of even doing that?
Yeah, as I just now said about the Gharanas, Kirana has a different way of developing the rag, like note by note. Gwalior has a different way of developing the rag. Uh, but whatever Gharana you belong to, or
I think he got cut, sir. 1 minute.
He'll come.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah, he'll
let
come.
let him join.
Yeah.
the rag chalan is in such a way, then it has to be. We cannot the development of the rag might differ from artist to artist, gharana to gharana, but rags, what rules are there, rules and regulations that has been that has been devised, that you cannot cross. You cannot cross. Yeah.
Sir, one thing, just wanted to also ask you, if you can demonstrate one or two small Tan phrases you said about Tan, so that people know what a Tan is, because when you do Alap now you have done, so
Yeah.
what is a Tan and how do they sing that?
Yeah. I'll sing in the Deskar only, since we are
Okay.
on that only.
Yes.
This is the Tan where the Ala portion is sung in a faster tempo.
Okay.
This is called Sapat Tan. Sapat means straight.
Oh, okay.
Sada bagare sa. You have the gamakang if you see here now.
Yeah, correct.
So in this only, if we add the bol of the bandish, it becomes boltan.
I see. Okay.
These are all specialities of Gwalior Gharana. The Tan which I sang in the last, they sing these kind of Tan. So it's a variety of Tan.
Okay.
But this alap also, I mean, should it be long, or I mean, can anybody alter that?
No, it depends on the ragas bhav ultimately. Like Deskar, however good singer or however good performer he is, you cannot exceed more than 25 minutes, 20, 25 or 30 minutes, max to max, because the rag doesn't develop beyond that.
I see.
It's a restricted, but the same note rag, same notes, 5 notes, bhoop is there. Bhoop you can sing for longer period. Because it's the same notes, but the way the bhoop is created and the way Deskar is created, it's completely different.
Okay. No, sir, this brings me to this point that, even in Carnatic, they talk about this, is that there are some ragas which are supposed to be serious and big ragas, and some ragas are supposed to be smaller ragas. So in Hindustani, what are these ragas which are considered to be very big ragas, and how do you define big in that way? And secondly, which are the smaller ragas, and why do you say they are small? Right?
small or big might be in terms of the time you sing,
Correct, correct. Type in
but
the
there
sense
cannot
that
be there cannot be something like difficult and easy ragas.
yeah. All
There
ragas are
cannot be.
equal.
All ragas are equal.
Yes.
When we
Yes.
say that normally if you see like a rag Yaman, Yaman is one rag where most of the teachers they start in the beginning. They start the any new student they start with rag Yaman, but Yaman is one rag which never ends. I mean, so many people have they have sung it. I remember one statement of Pandit Rajan Sajan Mishraji. Rajan Mishraji had told this. Ki, he said it in Hindi. कि 100 साल गुजर गए रागों को जाके रागों को गाते गाते लेकिन राग को चुका नहीं पाए हम लोग. We couldn't because that rag is so vast and so there is no easy or difficult rag.
Correct.
But yes, there can be a bigger rag, there can be a small. Like I said just now, a bhoop. Bhoop is a bigger rag. Deshkar is comparatively a smaller rag because of the duration.
Correct. That
and
maybe
there can be
scope
certain
it offers.
Scope. There is no scope at all to go beyond a certain point.
Correct.
Certain point. Like there are ragas, serious ragas like Darbari Kannada or Miyaki Todi. These ragas are generally not taught to a beginner or a student who, I mean, it is taught to people who have at least learnt 8 to 10 years. They must have learnt classical music because they have a different, very different nature itself. Whether it is Darbari Kannada, Miya Mallar, which we normally sing during the rainy season.
Correct.
So, depending on the ragas duration, you can classify them as smaller and bigger. But there are no easy and difficult ragas. All ragas are same.
Because big and small, I mean, I just want to add to what's, the question. So, what is the Bade Kyal or Chota Kyal? What is it? What does it refer to? What do they refer to?
As the name says, Bade is a bigger Kyal. Like we sing it in a small, in a slower tempo. And Chota Kyal is a smaller piece which we normally sing after the Bade Kyal. Like if you take a Hindustani classical music performance of vocal performance, I'm talking about, of around 1 hour, you will definitely find if he sings one raga in that 1 hour, 45 minutes will be Bade Kyal and 15 minutes will be Chote Kyal.
I see.
The size of the bandish doesn't say whether it is Bade or Chote. It is what because Bade Kyal will also have 4 lines, Chote Kyal will also have 4 lines only. But because it is sung in a faster tempo, the Chote Kyal, so it gets, and mostly we do tans, sargams, different tan patterns in that Chote Kyal. So the duration of your singing makes them Bada and Chota. That's all.
Okay. Now, in other words, generally, what you call as Vilambit and Drut. Vilambit is the slow, and that's the Bade Kyal is sung in Vilambit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Chota Kyal is
here also it's the same thing. Drut means fast.
Correct.
If you see, Drut means fast. Fast. Vilambit means slow.
Slow. Can you just sing a small Drut piece so that we understand how?
I will continue with Deshkar only.
Sure.
बाजे पायलिया मोरे बाजे पायलिया मोरे जनन जनन बाजे घुंगरवा जनन जनन जन बाजे घुंगरवा बाजे पायलिया मोरे बाजे पायलिया मोरे बाजे पायलिया. So this is the faster tempo composition.
Okay. Now coming to the other one, in the sense of talas, what sort of talas are there in Hindustani music, and how important is a tala, or does it also which sort of tala, who sings, depends on the gharana, or how is it? Fa-
No, the tala does not belong to any gharana.
Correct.
But there are certain talas which are more used in certain gharanas.
Okay.
Like for example, the basic talas we have, like the teen tal, which is of 16 beats. Then you have ek tal, which is of 12 beats. Then you have jap tal, which is of 10 beats. Then you have rupak, which is of 7 beats. Generally, these four talas are normally used in classical concerts. But add to this, there are certain talas like Jhumra, which is of 14 beats, and there is Tilwada, which is of 16 beats. These two talas are mostly used by Gwalior Gharana people.
I see.
They sing more and more of these two tals.
Okay.
And there are certain talas which are not regularly used in Hindustani classical music, but have their own flavor. Like we have a tal of 9 beats called Mat tal. We have a tal called Ada Chautal, which is of 14 beats. So, but majorly it is Teen tal and Ek tal are the two tals which are normally used. Across all gharanas.
Okay, and just to ask this is, which is the tal that you personally love to sing in, as a singer? Which one do you not? I wouldn't say prefer, but which is one you really enjoy singing?
It depends on the ultimately the raga where I am there. There are tals which are like Ada Chautal. It's a difficult tal to sing, but I love singing those the bandishes in that tal.
Can you sing us one if you don't mind? Of course.
Let me see.
Because you don't have a tabla to keep time, but
no, I'll keep a tabla here. I'll just show you.
Oh, sure.
I will just play the tal first.
Sure.
See, this is a Drit composition.
Okay.
It's at a 235 beats per minute BPM. Okay. So it's in a faster tempo. I'll sing a tarana in this.
Okay. Yeah.
Tarana means the words. It's not the actual words.
Correct.
Tana dere na re, ta dere na, tana dere na re, ta dere na, udare dani, tadare dani, udare dani, tadare dani, tadeyana tanu, tana dere na re, ta dere na, tana dere na re, ta dere na, udare dani, tanano, udare dani, tanano, tanu, tanana, 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 tanu, tanu, tanadere re, itadere na, tanadere re. So this is one in Ada Chautal.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, interestingly, I just thought I will ask you this because you mentioned that we sing during the rainy seasons. Are these, like Hindustani, is it dominant in Hindustani music, the Ritu-based or cycles of season-based ragas were developed? Or for that matter, nowadays we are seeing on YouTube and social media, morning raga, evening raga, night raga, etc., etc. Is it something which is very unique and very dominant across gharanas?
It's definitely unique in Hindustani classical music. Definitely, it's a very unique point. I totally agree with you. It was created with a feel, I don't know, maybe because of the feel you get. Like the morning ragas, you have these komal notes. Normally human body is also very, it's not very active in the morning. So the rag is also, it develops slowly, it develops with komal notes, whether it is Rishabh or Gandhar or Dhaivat, you have komal notes. So that might be the reason those ragas were classified as morning ragas. So afternoon ragas, evening ragas. Then we have seasonal ragas like Basant. We normally sing it in Vasant Rutu. Then we have Malhar, which we normally sing in rainy season. The different Malhars what we have. So, but with the times changing now, for example, I'll give you now, because of this pandemic, everything has gone online. Now we are doing an interview also online. Now the concerts you sing here at night 8:30, if a person sitting in US wants to listen to that concert, for him it's a morning.
Yes.
Here I am singing the evening rag, but he is listening it in the morning. So because of the changing times, and also when we sing in an auditorium, it's a morning concert, but in the auditorium its doors are closed, the light is on. It's not a real setup, real feel you are going to get. But till today, it has been maintained, and I hope so it is maintained in future also.
So, as a supplement to that, for example, most of the concerts, at least in Carnatic music, if you see in normal times, not the COVID time, most of the concerts happen in the evening. So, because of people come after, they want the evening time entertainment. So, doesn't it restrict you as a performer to a certain set of ragas only most of the time, because you're not singing in the morning or evening?
Yes, to a certain extent, I agree with you. In Hindustani also, most of the concerts happen in the evening. That too after 5 o'clock, up to 10 o'clock. But in Hindustani, there are concerts which happen in the early morning also sometimes. Wow. Like morning 6:30 it starts. And sometimes we have programs starting at 10 o'clock where we can sing 10 o'clock ragas, 10 to 1 o'clock, program happen. Okay. I have sung at a place where the concert started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I got a chance to perform, but it's very rare, very, very rare. Correct, the 2 o'clock option is very rare. Correct. But sometimes what happens is a day-long program happens.
Exactly.
So during that time, you get all the ragas, morning, afternoon rags to sing. Correct. Sometimes in Hindustani, there are earlier it used to happen a lot. Now it has reduced. The all-night festival used to happen.
Correct.
So you used to get to sing rag like Darbari Kannada or Malkaons, which is sung normally at like 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So the early morning ragas like Lallat, Bhatiyar, which are sung at 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. So in that concert we get. But yes, most of the concerts happen in the evening. And sometimes, yes, you feel that you don't have the chance to sing the morning ragas, another time ragas. Yeah.
Correct. And now, of course, you can always record it and put it in YouTube or something which people can see. But as you say also, nowadays, because of the recording, you don't know when people actually listen to it.
Yes,
it is that they can listen to it at any time that they want.
Yeah, I mean something related to this, not directly, but most of the musical traditions, not when at the beginning, when they slowly develop, and like concerts are formed, etc., etc. We have a tradition of music sung around temples, whether it is in Odisha or Bengal or Karnataka or Tamil Nadu. I mean, how the development of Hindustani music, when we say Rutu based or certain time of the day, same way that as I see that Hindustani music had more social involvement because of Kal maybe. Bihar, but whereas here it is very specifically towards religious or temple-based musics of there. Whether it's not only concerts, even the operas were tuned towards that. I mean, what is a kind of equivalent in Hindustani music?
If you see the bandishes, the compositions, what we have, most of them are about Lord Krishna and his whatever work he has done, whether it is Gopika Strees or whether it is Makhan or so all these things are in most of the composition. I'm not telling all, most of the compositions, and there is a lot of Islamic bandishes also in Hindustani classical music. where we sing to the Lord Allah. So there are bandishes which are there. So I mean, in Hindustani, I don't think so. It was particularly set to some temple or whether it is some other religion or anything. There are certain bandishes which are composed in praise of the king, under whom they were the court musicians, like Sadarang Adarang, what we were talking in the earlier in the earlier time. Actually, they were court musicians of Muhammad Shah Rangile. He was a king in Delhi. So they were so whatever creation that especially Sadarang has created, most of the time you have that Muhammad Shah Rangile, that wording, that word is obviously there in his bandishes. He was singing it in the praise of that king.
Particular.
Yeah.
So this leads me to the natural one question. Who are considered to be some of the very good composers whose compositions are being sung in Hindustani music, like Sadarang Adarang? Can you just give some of them, and maybe some unique compositions of theirs, if you can just highlight that would be good.
Sadarang Adarang compositions are those which are sung across the gharanas. That is one good I mean, the greatest thing about their compositions, because they are not gharana specific. I mean, every gharana sings Sadarang Adarang bandishes. I mean, they are so old, but still they are prevalent and they are being performed even today also.
Correct.
Sorry
to interrupt, but I think when I had heard your discussion with Chaitanya Kunteji, and I think you are talking about the Kal Eri Ali or something, right? Or Yaman.
Eri Ali Piya Bina, yes.
That is a Sadarang composition. Or Adarang, I don't know, but it's an old composition.
It's an old composition. We had a discussion that why it is sung across all gharanas. During that, because they were prior to the gharana systems.
Okay.
They were prior to gharana system. So gharana system came later. So before that, they composed the bandishes. There are many composers who have composed bandishes. There is Prema Piya, who is Ustad Fayaz Khan Sahab of Agra Gharana, who is the Khalifa, who is the founder of Agra Gharana. He used to write in the name of Prema Piya. Then there is Daras Piya. Then in the Rang, what we call the Sadarang Adarang, and there is Gunar Rang. There is Manar Rang. Then there is little, if you take in later years, like in last 100 years, we had musicologists like Pandit Ramashray Jha. He's from Allahabad, one of the erudite musicologist and musician. He used to write in the name of Ram Rang. His pen name was Ram Rang. Then we had Pandit Dinakar Kaikini, who is another Agra Gharana stalwart. He used to write with the pen name Dinarang. So there are many musicians, and some are there who don't put their pen name, like that also. And Sabrang was Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab of Patiala Gharana, very famous musician. So, and there are certain artists who compose. Even today, we have many artists who compose, and the compositions they make. But they don't put the pen name. Like Chaitanya Kunte, what you had heard, he doesn't put the pen name.
I see.
Then there is Srimati Ashwini Bidai Deshpande. She is a very great vocalist of Hindustani classical music. She doesn't put pen name, but she has very good compositions.
So
there are compositions we take from different composers.
I think Jitendra Abhisheki also, Pandit Jitendra Abhisheki also composed.
Abhisheki ji was a great composer.
Yeah.
Jitendra Abhisheki ji was one of the best composers. His musical mind was, I mean, unmatched. Very much unmatched. I mean, he had a great sense of music. His compositions are completely,
A lot of Marathi based composers have composed a lot, I think, in the later part of the 20th century, correct?
Yes. And
now this leads me, because you spoke about Ramashray Jha, this leads me to another question naturally, which is like how important, because Jasa was one of the outstanding musicologists as well. I mean, I've heard some of his recordings where he
Mm.
speaks about like Deshkar and Boop difference and Alia Bilawal, what sort of pakad you it gets and all. It's like you're listening to one real great man, right? That's how it was. So from you personally, how important is musicology to you, in the sense when you learn, when you sing? Because as you said, in the olden days, um, gurus would not even talk to you about musicology. You just sing what I taught you and you hear and do. But now, since so much information is available, so from you personally as a singer, how important is musicology to you? How you incorporate that into your singing?
It's very important because uh, to understand a raga, uh, to sing, it's a different thing. But first, you have to understand the raga, how the raga develops, how the raga unfolds.
Hmm.
So, musicology is very important. You should know the how the should be sung, how the aesthetic
Part.
beauty of the bandish should be kept always, how you develop the rag through the bandish, how the what or how the raga unfolds through bandish. That is also very
Okay.
important.
Yeah.
So you should definitely be aware of musicology because that will improve your musical qualities.
I see. I see.
That will improve your, obviously that will improve your musical knowledge, but that will also improve your musical quality.
Okay. Now, as you said, right? So when you develop through the bandish and all, so in a way, is bandish also, if what bandish you pick on the day also depends on your mind on how do you want to develop the raga, because each bandish, does it restrict you in certain sense, or is it like I'll take up malkons today, any bandish is okay, or I want to develop malkons this way today, so I'll take this bandish. How do you think here?
Huh. The bandish actually defines the presentation on that day.
Okay.
See, for example, there are bandishes which are, uh, suppose for example, I'll give you a small example in Rag Yaman.
Okay.
Like if I want to sing Rag Yaman today, and suppose if I take the bandish, very famous bandish, कहे सके कैसे कि करे.
Hmm.
So if I want to sing this bandish, it is in the lower octave. It starts at lower octave. The
Okay.
mukda starts at a lower octave. The sum, where the first point is there, first matra, first beat, that is also in the lower octave. So
Okay.
so I will develop the rag according to that bandish. In the
Okay.
same rag, suppose if there is one more bandish which is lesser heard, that starts like la mi. So it starts from upper octave sa, and the first beat is on the pancham. So
Okay.
my development of the rag differs in these two bandishes. If I
Oh,
take
okay.
this bandish, then my treatment of the rag would be different
Okay.
within the framework of the rag.
Raga. Correct. Correct.
When I
Correct.
start, if I take the first bandish, then the treatment would be different.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So
So,
that's why I said the bandishes, unfold the rag.
so,
Yeah.
so does it mean that students, it's good for students to learn multiple bandish in the same rag so that they get to develop?
Obviously,
Uh,
obviously, because each bandish conveys different feelings also.
okay.
See, for example, you said that eri ali.
Yeah, really, yeah.
Eri ali piya bina saki eri ali piya bina. So this has even the, if you see the words eri ali piya bina saki kalana parata mohe gadi palachina dina. So he has not come.
Okay.
My lover has not
Has not
come.
come.
So I'm worried about him.
Okay.
So that's what the bandish says. So in the same rag, if you take some other bandish, like जाने नहीं देत मोहे का नाम, जाने नहीं देत मोहे का नाम, डगर चलत करत रार मानत मोहे नंद लाल, जाने नहीं देत mohe kana. See, this it's the same rag, but the feel is so different.
Correct.
Because that the bandish mukhda, what we call the mukhda is the first line. What the mukhda says completely changes the the dynamics.
Yeah.
How you present.
Yeah. Lovely.
It's basically we are slowly coming towards the end of the program. But basically, when we talk about, when we think of, when we look at Carnatic music or other musical tradition, today one thing is that a lot of youngsters are taking up the classical music. But Hindustani is something which is across India. So what is the scenario like there in Hindustan? Are more and more youngsters are coming towards it?
It's very bright. If you ask me in single word, I can say it's bright, because I have been in this field for last 35 years now, and I'm seeing there are a lot of youngsters who are very much interested and who are ready to dedicate their entire life for music. Means even though they have the academically they are qualified, they don't want to do the job, the regular 9 to 5 job, and do music as a hobby. I have seen so many people, so many youngsters who are like just doing music. So I think the Hindustani music is in very, very great hands. There is no problem about it.
Yeah, before we sort of, as Rajmohan said, we are getting closer to the time, and I know you are also, you have to also be out somewhere. Just one question is that who are your own musicians whom you are your favorites, or who sort of drove you into Hindustani music, if at all? I mean, could be across Gharanas. I know your gurus are probably going to be your definite favorites, but other than them, the people who inspire you, a few of them. I mean, there are so many stalwarts I know, but some are very closer to heart.
I was not driven to music by some musicians, because I was a child prodigy.
Oh, okay.
So my parents were the people who thought that something is there in this child.
Oh, okay.
So they brought me into the music. But yes, obviously I follow few musicians, but I listen to everyone. I don't have any preconceived notion about any musician. I go to even youngsters concert who are just 18, 19 years old. I go to the senior most. So listening wise, I have no restrictions. But I follow one of my idol is my Dada Guru. That's my Guruji's Guru, Bharat Ratna Pandit Bhimsen Joshi ji. Obviously, he is one. I think every musician looks up to him.
Correct.
In Hindustani classical music. Then there is Pandit Ulhas Kashalkar, who is one of the doyen of Indian classical music. Then Srimati Ashwini Bhide Deshpande, whom I look up to. Then Ustad Rashid Khan Saab, who's so these are 3-4 names which I definitely look up to them for their music. Not just for their music, even like their simplicity, especially Ulhas ji and Bhimsen ji, Ashwini Tai. They are very, very simple people, very easily to approach. And I had a very good relationship with all these 3 people. So these are the people whom I definitely follow. Apart from definitely my Guru, Pandit Vinayak Torveji, is because of whom I am here today. Definitely, it's all due to his blessings.
Right.
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. So, Rajmohan, can we conclude?
Yeah, please conclude, because Mr. Dhananjay also have to have other place to go. He's a very busy. No, what we can do is, if depending on more the type of questions we receive or the inputs, we can have part 2. Yeah, whenever.
Whenever he is free.
Sure.
First, So, first of all, let me thank Dhananjay ji for agreeing to be on this, and we also understand that it's not easy for some performing artists to spare their time and talk come around, and we are very very thankful to him. And as you would see, this has been an extremely illuminating session, and we are also thankful to Dhananjay because he demonstrated what was there in terms of different techniques, different ragas, different bhavas, talas, and I'm sure those who are watching would have now a fairly decent idea of what Hindustani music is. But as we say in a different program that I do called Carnatic 101, you can get more and more insight into any music only if you keep listening to it. You have to keep listening to it, and these are some of the type of talks which musicians give, which can inspire you to listen more. For example, if you have not heard Carnatic music, after this talk of Dhananjay ji, you will be more keen on listening to it to understand what he has been saying here and all that. In that way, I think this is a good introduction to those who are not into Hindustani music and who are very less interaction with it. And to those people who are already into Hindustani music, you would have definitely understood much more than this. And of course, over and above all this, just the pleasure of hearing Dhananjay ji has been great for us. So once again, our sincere thanks to you, and we hope that depending on the questions and other things, we can probably do another more deeper dive into the classical music. And we wish you all the best, and
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I would like to thank Suresh ji and Rajmohan ji for inviting me for this discussion, and hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very much.
much.
Namaste. Yes.